I am Reed, I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. There was a man born in Chicago in 1902 who only 5 years later could already read. I mean, imagine being 5 years old and you were already ripping through books while the rest of us were still trying to figure out how to not eat glue. This guy would go on to create one of the most revolutionary approaches to therapy, and honestly, it is something you can use in your day-to-day life right now without spending a single dollar. I am going to briefly show you what it is, a few ways I actually did it, and the amazing effects it had on my people skills and communication. Oh man, it is good to be here with you. The early 1900s was blessed with the birth of an extremely intelligent man. His name was Carl Rogers. Now this guy's education started fairly early, and that is because, believe it or not, he could read before he even started kindergarten. His interests changed a little bit throughout the years, but he eventually found what he really wanted to do, and that was psychology, so he studied and became a psychologist. In his early years of psychology, he helped out children and developed a non-judgmental and empathetic approach to therapy, which honestly was probably because all those kids wanted back then was someone to actually hear them. And let us be real, that hasn't changed. We all adults now, and we still just want someone to hear us. Now, in his journey of psychology, Carl found something that is now common knowledge but had way more power than people originally thought. He developed something called person-centered therapy, and a major part of that was active listening. Now, I know what you are thinking, oh great, another video telling me to listen better. I've heard this before, but hold on. It is probably not what most people think it is. Carl found that even when he just listened to his patients in a certain way, it had an amazing effect. People got better just because someone listened to them the right way. Think about that for a second. No fancy techniques, no expensive programs, just listening. So before I show you how I did it, I am going to show you what happened when I first tried it. I thought to myself one day, everyone wants to talk about themselves all the time. I mean, think about it. Scrolling through social media, everyone posting about their life. At parties, everyone waiting for their turn to speak. In conversations, we half listening while we think about what we were going to say next. So what might most people feel like when they listen? I mean, so few people nowadays are actually heard. Most of what they say just goes into the void, and that void is lonely, man. It really is. The most basic of all human needs is the need to understand and to be understood. I didn't make that up. That is literally Psychology 101. The best way to understand people is to listen to them. Simple, right? But simple does mean easy. When I implemented active listening into my social life, it made others feel really understood. Their feelings felt validated, and let me tell you, there is no feeling like being heard. I mean, really truly heard when someone actually stops what they were doing, looks at you, and tries to understand what you are saying. That feeling is rare, and that is why it is powerful. This made the people around me happier and more confident. But here's the part I didn't expect. Actually really listening to someone made them come to conclusions that they wouldn't have by themselves. It made their mental health even better just from me shutting my mouth and paying attention, but the conversations themselves also got better. When I properly listened to someone in a way that made them feel honest and more authentic, they said the most random and real things I've ever seen. People started opening up to me about things they probably never told anyone. It made for some really fun and interesting conversations. Not the boring surface level weather talk, but real stuff. That is cool, and all, but how do we actually know active listening works? I mean, sure, it sounds nice, but is there actual proof? To answer that, we have to take a look at Rogers' methods. When Rogers practiced his methods, clients achieved personal insight and helped themselves heal. They felt certain parts of themselves were more accepted, they trusted the listener more, they felt happier too. This isn't some self-help guru making up stuff to sell you a course. This is documented evidence from a trained psychologist that has been replicated for decades. This is what I want for you, so stick around. His methods became revolutionary, and now active listening is used almost everywhere. Not just in psychology, like schools, businesses, communities, and obviously therapy. And the best part is, unlike chaos theory or quantum physics, this is rather easy to get into and to start learning. You don't need a degree, you don't need a certification, you just need to be willing to try something different. Okay, so how did I actually do this? Well, active listening is different from ordinary listening you might know of. It is not the same as just not talking when you are being spoken to. If you are sitting there silent but scrolling through your phone, that is not active listening. If you are nodding along but thinking about what you are gonna have for dinner, that is not active listening. The first step to getting better at listening to people was to actually be there, to be present. But I also had to learn several tools and skills. And it was a fairly important distinction to make that. These are tools, not steps, not tips. They re-tools, they re-skills that I could learn and apply when I needed to understand someone better. One thing I want to say before we get into the tools, it is also important to remember that whenever someone says something, there is the content itself and there is emotion behind it. So if your friend says I got passed over for a promotion, again, the content is the promotion, but the emotion is frustration, disappointment, maybe even shame. A part of active listening involves responding and understanding either of these or even both. You got to listen to what they re-saying and how they re-saying it. First, I had to make sure that I wasn't losing my marbles. Allow me to elaborate here. I started paraphrasing and summarizing what the other person just said in a very short and natural way. Like if someone told me they were worried their partner wouldn't accept them, I would say something like, you really find it quite hard to believe that they would really love you if they knew you. And they'd go, that is right, that is exactly it. What I would do was I would repeat back what I think I heard in a fairly natural and casual manner in a way that the other person, the speaker, would agree with. This made it pretty much impossible for any misunderstanding to take place. It is just kind of loosely making sure that we both on the same page. And here is the thing, even Rogers found that he was wrong sometimes. I was wrong a lot at first. You will be too. That is okay. The act of trying to understand is more important than being right. When I got it wrong, the person would correct me, and then we actually understand each other better than if I had just nodded and moved on. But there was something just as important that I was missing at first. I needed to gain understanding as they were speaking. I needed to encourage them to keep going. I mean, think about it. Why would someone keep talking to me if they thought I was even listening? Would you keep pouring your heart out to someone who is staring at their phone? Would you share your struggles with someone who is looking around the room? No way. Doing this was as simple as not staring at the other person as they were talking with no emotion whatsoever. I mean, it is called active listening for a reason. All I had to do was something called minimal encouragers. Fancy name, right? But it is pretty much just non-verbally communicating to make sure that you are engaged. A nod, a small smile, a thoughtful, leaning in slightly, making eye contact. These tiny signals tell the other person, I am here. I am with you, keep going. This was a really good way to encourage the other person to continue speaking. Here's a cheeky example of what a conversation might sound like. Someone says, I am not positive they truly accept me. I say something tells me they will. They say, I know they will, but I am not positive. I say, personally, I don't do it as much as what you just saw. It also really helps when I take my time to respond instead of just responding as soon as I possibly can. There is this pressure we feel to fill silence, but silence isn't the enemy. Sometimes the best response is a thoughtful pause. It shows you are actually processing what they said. But words don't always say exactly what we're feeling. So what about that? How can I show empathy while I am listening? How can I work on understanding the feelings of others? That is when I found out about something called emotion labeling. And that is where, after talking with someone for a little bit, you practice labeling their emotions in an empathetic manner, not in a robotic way, like I detect sadness in your voice. No, that is weird. But in a natural way, like it sounds like you are frustrated or that seems really exciting for you. You might get it wrong, and that is okay, but it'll have a similar effect anyway. When I tried this, I gradually got better. I got encouraged when I read in a book from somebody I respect and admire that this is the right thing no matter what. Honesty went out well, then that keeps giving me confidence. By gosh, I am right. But it is so damn hard to really choose something on your own, which makes me feel very immature. I don't like this in me. I wish I were different. All I said was stuff like, it sounds like you are having a rough time and I guess you are glad that is over, as well as that sounds exciting or you seem happy. This helps build an emotional connection with the other person. It helps them understand themselves better and they feel better because they reheard. This was a bit awkward to do at first, I am not gonna lie. The first few times I tried emotion labeling, I felt like a robot pretending to be human, but as long as I did it naturally and casually, it worked very well. After a while, it stopped feeling awkward and started feeling normal. This last one was probably the most mind-blowing thing I've ever done to myself. It was the simplest way to get better at listening to people, but it was also the hardest. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. You've probably heard this quote before, but why am I showing it to you? Well, it is mostly because it is spitting facts. Listening to someone is not the same as wanting to understand them genuinely. That is the key difference right there. You can go through the motions, you can paraphrase, you can nod, you can say, but if you don't genuinely care about understanding the other person, they will feel it. People can sense fake interest from a mile away. I realized the value in actually wanting to listen to people and understand them after practicing active listening. It got a bit easier and I got a bit better at it. Because when I took the time to really understand someone, I realized just how interesting people can be. Everyone has a story. Everyone has something they struggling with. Everyone has something they excited about. And when you tap into that, conversations become way more fun. If we have a number of such experiences, however, they will shape an attitude which will allow us to be truly genuine in our interest in the speaker. This one change in mindset put me on the path of real charisma. Not the fake, flashy, smooth talker charisma, but the real kind where people actually enjoy being around you because you make them feel seen and heard. And let me tell you, that is rare. So here's what I want you to do. Try this for 1 week. Just 1 week, pick one conversation a day where you practice active listening. Paraphrase what they say. Use minimal encouragers, try labeling their emotions, and most importantly, genuinely want to understand them. See what happens. The conversations might feel different. People might open up to you in ways they never have before. I am not saying this will solve all your problems. You are not going to become a social genius overnight, but it will change the way you connect with people. And honestly, in your 20s, that is one of the most important skills you can develop, better than any investment, better than any side hustle. Because the people you meet, the relationships you build, that is what actually matters. Now, if you like this stuff like me, you should probably check out some of my older videos and maybe even stick around for the ones to come. If I don't die or something, I should be uploading sometime next week. Peace.